Hello everybody and welcome to this new episode of Sartorial Talks. Today, as it is the time of the year to speak about that, I'm going to take you through my little collection of overcoats. It took me, I would say, 5 or 6 years to have this collection, but now I have only 5 overcoats, but beautiful one. But before going into the details of each overcoat and who made it and why did I acquire it, I would like to explain to you a few things about the different types of overcoat, and mainly 2 types of overcoat that will cover my own collection. The first type of overcoat is what we call the polo coats. So the polo coats are named like that with reference to the game, the polo, the sport. We call it a polo coat because you know that in between 2 plays and in between what we call 2 chukkers, which are the different time where the people are playing on the polo field, the players that are not on the field, that are taking a rest after a chukker, normally would wear this kind of coat. This is why we call it a polo coat. And they will be comfortable and warming their body, waiting to go back on the horse to play the next chukker. What is interesting in that is that the polo coat, because it was invented specifically to warm the polo player in between 2 plays, is by definition some kind of a loose-fitting coat. Most of the time it is double-breasted and it has some features on it in order to remain totally comfortable. So this kind of overcoats are extremely interesting. Why? Because first of all, they can be extremely chic or extremely casual, depending on the model you choose. But globally, this is for me the kind of overcoat that every gentleman should possess in his wardrobe. It's extremely comfortable, it's extremely easy to wear, and when it is well cut by a proper bespoke tailor, you can have beautiful, stunning overcoats, and I will show you my collection in a moment. The second kind of overcoat that I possess is what we call a Chesterfield coat. What is a Chesterfield coat? I told you the polo coat was very versatile. It could be extremely chic, extremely elegant, but at the same time it can be kind of casual because of its loose fitting. The Chesterfield is a very different coat because the Chesterfield has been named after the 6th Earl of Chesterfield in England in 1840. And it's a more formal coat, deeply more formal, because the Chesterfield is featuring, as you may know, is bringing into the place in terms of formality. Most of the time, a Chesterfield is in a dark color. Mine, you will see, is with a black and a gray chevron. So it's definitely something that you will wear to go to the opera, or to go to a dinner, or to go to a black tie event, or to go to some dinner in town. So it's much more formal, and I needed to have a formal coat in my wardrobe. This is why I decided to acquire them. And then you will see in my small collections of overcoats, I also have what in France, I don't know the word in English. In France, we call this a 3/4, which is a 3/4, literally, which is not slightly shorter, but it's a coat which is that you can wear, and that was my intention, that you can wear sometimes without a jacket over, a pair of selvage jeans from Japan, or over a beautiful flannel trousers. And I used to wear this overcoat without jacket several times. I can wear it with jackets, of course, but this one is so well cut and so precisely cut. I don't say that the other one are not well cut; they are tremendously well cut. But this one has been cut by Lorenzo Cifonelli specifically to be much more adjusted than the polo coat that I already had in my collection. So let's go now to my collection itself, and we were going to start with an overcoat that many of you have asked about. This is this red overcoat that I have from this fantastic company that we adore with Sonia, which is called Belvest. Belvest is a fantastic sartoria, which is located very close to Padova in Italy. And these are people that we like a lot. Maria Teresa Nicoletto, she's the head of Belvest, and her son, Riccardo della Piazza, great people. And this company is producing exquisite ready-to-wear and made-to-measure suits and overcoats. And this very overcoat that I'm going to show you now, as you see, It's a red overcoat. It's a polo coat, so double-breasted, with what we call in Italian a martingale on the back, buttons and martingale on the back. I think we call this half belt in English. And this is very interesting. And the first time I tried this overcoat, my wife, Sonia, she said, "Oh gosh, what are you doing? It's a red overcoat, and it's kind of different, and it looks a little bit, too large for me." And this is ready to wear, actually. This Belvest overcoat, against all odds, is ready to wear. But you can see that the fitting is incredible. I have it altered by a tailor so that the fitting will be a little bit closer to my body, because the first overcoat was a little bit too large for me. But now I can say, without hesitation, that has been the overcoats I wore the most, and in so many different kind of situations. Because this piece of clothing has such a strong personality. The wool it's used for these overcoats has extreme performances. I've been traveling around the world with this coat. I've been putting it totally randomly in overhead bins. Sometimes it drives me crazy when the cabin crew is putting their hands on my suits. But with this overcoat, no problem. This is my go-to overcoat. I've been using it in casual occasions, in more formal occasions, and it works very well. What I want you to remember about this one is don't be shy with colors. You see, this one has a daring color. Don't exaggerate, but don't be shy with it. And the second thing I want you to remember is the name of the maker, Belvest, Belvest, close to Padova, a great, great company. Then we'll move to my second overcoat. For this series, it's not chronological. You know why? I just can't remember which was the one, which was the second, which was the third. So I just grouped them by type. So in the polo coats, polo overcoat is this absolutely stunning, fabulous, superlative overcoat that the Sartoria Ciardi in Napoli crafted for me. This one has a particularity. First is that this is a 100% cashmere coat. When you start to enter the world of cashmere, of ultra-luxury fabric, and specifically for overcoat, believe me, my friends, it can become extremely addictive, because the cashmere specifically, when you use it for overcoat, gives all its power. May I remind you that cashmere is wool, of course, but it's not wool from the sheep. It's wool from the goats, specifically, originally from the goats of Mongolia. And so it's a very precious fabric, extremely specific and extremely special because of its thermic properties. You will see, if you buy something in cashmere, specifically an overcoat, you will find something which is extremely light to wear, extremely comfortable to wear, but at the same time with incredible thermic properties that will keep you warm. So can you imagine? It's the dream. It's literally the dream overcoat, because it's light, but at the same time, it's extremely warm. So you can wear it without any restraint during all the summer and a little bit more. So I love this coat so much that I try even to wear it a little bit before the winter in autumn, and sometime a little bit late in spring. Because also you have to understand, it has been made by the Sartoria Ciardi in Naples. And those people, they're a fantastic example of what the Neapolitan tailoring is. That is to say, extreme lightness. My overcoat is half lined, so it's basically pure cashmere with no lining, only at the top of the shoulders. And it's just a piece of art, with a half belt also, with these massive lapels. And it has become, over the years, I have this coat, I think, for the last 3 years, and it has become my go-to overcoat. Of course, this one is a little bit more tricky because it's cashmere, so it's fragile. Specifically, the color I choose for this cashmere is off-white, and so it's an extremely fragile color. But these little things apart, this overcoat is one of my favorite, and I would not change it for all the gold in the world. The third one I have, in this same type of polo coat again, but this one is totally different because it's a green overcoat with a strong military inspiration. You can see the massive color on this one, and you can immediately feel that this green, deep green overcoat is extremely, extremely thick. It has been made with a thick wool. I don't even know the grams. I think it's more than 700, maybe 800 grams by Fox Brothers. And this is, well, honestly, when you put on this kind of overcoat, you feel like you're not only invincible, but you are bulletproof. I mean, specifically, I remember the first time I wear this overcoat at Pitti Uomo, I think it was 2 years ago. And I had under this bulletproof overcoat, magnificent, by the way, overcoat, but very, very thick. I had under that a double-breasted suit by Dalcuore also in Fox flannel, so extremely, extremely thick. So can you imagine those two layers on me? Well, I had the luck that in Florence, this Pitti, I think it's 2 Pittis ago, was extremely cold, so I was very happy to have that. But nevertheless, I went very far in typically winter overcoat. This coat is once again it's full bespoke. It's made by Luigi Dalcuore in Napoli. It's a beautiful coat. He really did a great job on that. Same thing with a half belt at the back, with a lot of buttoning at the back. It's a beautiful coat, and it's a stylistic statement, of course, except the Ciardi in the middle, which has a kind of off-white, quote-unquote normal color. My first one is red, and my third one is green. So, as you see, I've not been very discreet in the world of overcoat, but I love overcoat. To be honest, I adore wearing overcoats because I think that you can really, really express yourself with an overcoat without too much being concerned about the fitting, without being too much concerned about how it is structured on your body, because polo coats, by definition, are a little bit loose-fitting. So you can be extremely chic, but extremely comfortable at the same time. I can give you a secret. I love so much my overcoat that sometimes I even have difficulties to remove them when I arrive into a party. I like to keep them on me for a few minutes because I enjoy them very well. The fourth one is a very, very special overcoat. It has been made, crafted for me by the fantastic house from Milan, A.Caraceni, Augusto Caraceni. I'm not going to go into details of the history of the family, of the Caraceni family, and how important this name is in the sartorial world. But let me give you 2 or 3 ideas on that. Domenico Caraceni, just before the war, between the 2 wars, is a guy who installed, who was very successful in Italy, and his brother, Augusto Caraceni, became extremely successful in Paris just before World War II. I think their atelier was located Avenue d'Iéna in Paris, and this is a very, very high-level area. And then all the Parisian beautiful clientele was going to Caraceni. Back in these years, you have a few tailors in France. You have namely Cifonelli, and between Cifonelli and Caraceni, I think the beautiful clientele of Paris was properly dressed. Unfortunately, the World War was declared, and the Caraceni family, of course, had to go back to Italy. And just after the war, when you were an Italian, it was kind of difficult to come back immediately after the war, for good reasons, of course, because, you know, the Italian has been on the wrong side of the war 2 times in a row, so it was difficult for them. This is why Augusto Caraceni, immediately after the war, decided to reopen his sartoria, but not in Paris, but in Milan, via Fate Bene Fratelli, exactly the place I still are today, in this beautiful area of Milan. And Caraceni, honestly, is probably part of the top 5 tailors in the world. This is an institution of elegance and good taste. Those people have become our friends over the years. We like Carlo Andreacchio and his son Massimiliano Caraceni, which are respectively the 3rd and the 4th generation. And so it's a very interesting house. And they crafted for me superlative Chesterfield. So I remind you, a Chesterfield is a double-breasted overcoat, but with a velvet color that gives to this coat immediately a very formal, look and feel. It's a beautiful. Of course, you can't wear your Chesterfield, during. I mean, you can if you want, but it's not really appropriate to wear it during the day or in a more casual situation, or just because you call. No, a Chesterfield is a formal overcoat. It's something that will make people speak around you because it's kind of an impressive coat. For this coat, Caraceni also decided to craft it for me, and I'm a very lucky man, in pure cashmere. And as you can see, this cashmere is incredible. This is a pure cashmere in gray and black. So because, as I told you already, Chesterfield overcoats are most of the time reserved for formal occasions, so they are rather dark. You will rarely see a Chesterfield with bright colors or light colors. It's more dark colors because it's aimed to be worn in formal occasions. So mine is a black and gray with a very interesting chevron pattern. I just take the opportunity here because many people, when they look at this overcoat, they say that oh, I love your herringbone overcoat. Well, I said to them, of course, thank you, I appreciate your compliment, but it's not herringbone, it's chevron. It's slightly different. Some people have a little bit of a confusion, but it's easy. I don't even have to show you. I will show you with my hands. It's easy. A chevron, so it's like the pattern, okay, where a herringbone will be like that. So it's not exactly square. You understand that if you look at a herringbone pattern that you have in your closet, it will likely be like that, where a chevron is directly like that. You understand? So mine is a chevron. I'm very happy, of course, with this overcoat. I've been using it a lot. I may confess that this is my wife's favorite overcoat. She loved this overcoat on me. I love it also. My only regret is that it's a very specific overcoat and I can't wear it as much as I would have want because it's clearly a formal overcoat, but I'm so happy to have it in my wardrobe. For you, my friends, if you are looking for starting your investment in overcoat, I would not go as a first one to a Chesterfield unless you have some formal occasion for which you want to buy something specific. I will start rather with one or two polo coats and then maybe move later on to a formal coat. And this one, I'm pretty sure, is going to accompany me all my life. And the last overcoat I have was maybe made in the middle of all these overcoats, but it doesn't matter. I don't know the word in English. It's very simple. With that, I went to my original tailor, Lorenzo Cifonelli, and I said to him, listen, Lorenzo, I would like to have an overcoat which is the simplest possible. That is to say, no finishing details, no half belt, no double-breasted, no, specific finishing on the pockets, nothing, just a simple, straight, 3 buttons, cashmere overcoat that I can also wear without a jacket. So, let me explain a little bit. Normally, the only kind of overcoat you're able to wear without a jacket is what we call a pea coat. A pea coat is what we call a 6-on-3, this kind of. I have one pea coat, by the way, a couple of pea coats, but I don't use them that much. But a pea coat can be worn without a jacket. But it's more rare that you go to a full coat, like the one I made with Lorenzo, but to be worn without a jacket. I explain you why I decided to do that is that the cut of Cifonelli, the science of cut they have, extremely refined fitting. And I discovered that sometime during the weekend when I have no time, I have to rush outside. In France we like to rush outside to buy our baguette on Sunday morning. And in France, the French way of life is that normally if you are living in a town or even in a small town, you always have a bakery at walking distance. So in the morning when you have no time, you grab the first overcoat, and most of the time I grab this one, and I don't have the time to put on a jacket and a tie and everything. I'm just in my, casual attire, specifically the Sunday morning, and I discovered that wearing this coat without a jacket was absolutely stunning. So I decided that this coat would be from time to time worn without a jacket because it's so adjusted that it looks really like a jacket which is long. So that's, of course, it's more structured. The shoulder is a Cifonelli shoulder, but otherwise this is the purest coat with no details, no, very simple. I wanted to show with that the cut, and the cut. And believe me, this coat is by itself a piece of art, because even if it's not impressive in terms of finishing, it's absolutely marvelous in terms of cut. And of course, once again, it is a 100% cashmere coat in kind of the same color as the Ciardi I have. It's a little bit more white, actually. It's really off-white. Ciardi is white and gray. So these are the 5 main coats that I use all year long, and that I adore. This is my core collection of overcoats: the Belvest, the Ciardi, the Dalcuore, the A.Caraceni, and the Cifonelli. When you put all these names together, you're sure that you have high quality. On a side note, I must also, it just come back to my mind, I must also share with you that I owe a cashmere pea coat. It has been made by the great tailor called Pasquale Sabino in Naples. It's a full cashmere pea coat. Well, to be honest with you, I wear it a little bit less than the other 5, because it's clearly for me something which is more casual. And it's typically something that you can wear during the weekend with a beautiful flannel pant or beautiful chino or a beautiful pair of Belvest jeans. And as I don't wear this kind of attire very often, I don't have many occasions to wear this pea coat, but it's a beautiful one. And if you are looking for something clearly casual, I think the pea coat, specifically if you can go for a cashmere pea coat, can be an excellent solution. So it's my coat number 6. I'm sorry I said 5 coats during all the program. It just came back to my mind that I have this one, and it's worth noticing because it's an extremely beautiful piece of garment. That's all for my overcoats, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I give you an appointment for the next episode of Sartorial Talks very soon. Cheers.